And joining us now, great to welcome one who's written a really funny book. It's called A Field Guide to Awkward Silences. I guess we've all dealt with that. We'll find out about it. She's a very talented woman. She's a Washington Post columnist, and she's a comedian and done a lot of different things. And she joined us by telephone today on her book tour. I believe she's up in Milwaukee today, and it's Alexandra Petri.
I'm at this, they put me up at this hotel, and it's got a narrator, which I don't even know what that means.
I've never heard of that.
Man, and he'll yeah, right? I thought that was for books and audio books and things, but this man apparently will share the stories, and he's supposed to be found roaming through hotel areas. So it might be that this is a ghost that only I am seeing signage for, but I think this is an amenity that I need to learn more about.
Well, congratulations on the book. I know you've written a lot of in your column. You've written a lot of humorous pieces, but this is kind of a collection of them. Were they all from your column, or did you write some just for the book as well?
This is actually all new stuff for the book. It's because usually for the column it's here's some breaking news, or someone has opened his mouth and said a thing on the campaign trail and it's disastrous. But with the book, the person who was opening a mouth and saying disastrous things was generally me. It was experiences that I've gone forth and thought all on the theme of awkwardness. So you can picture an awkward scenario, like maybe competing at an international whistling convention or punning at a pun championship, things like that. Those were what I sought out for this and attempted to do to my utmost in the hopes of emerging with a story sort of in my mouth to swim back to shore with.
I thought that was interesting. A pun champion. You're an international pun champ, and I didn't know they had a competition for that. How does that work?
Well, it's sort of strange because usually, when you're the international champion of something, it's not an instant social liability. Like when Michael Phelps walked into a room, they're not like, "Oh God, this guy, he's going to start swimming and ruin the party." You're like, "Miss America." You're not like, "Oh, she's going to be beautiful and wear a cocktail gown," and we hate it. But with punning, it's like, "Oh, you're a pun champion," and you can sort of see ice forming on everyone's upper slopes. Like, if you walk into a room and people are like, "Oh, what's she going to say? What are you going to do? What's the horrible thing that's going to come out of your mouth?" And so it's nice for once, though, to get to do that and have an audience that's groaning with joy instead of with pain.
I've always appreciated puns.
Awesome.
Maybe that's because I'm a little quirky in the media business, too, but I always thought puns were clever. I like puns.
Yeah, they're like steaks. They're rare, medium, well done.
That's right. And you won, right? You won the competition.
And in headlines.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You also were on Jeopardy. Now, I know from a friend of mine, or not a friend, but my sister's friend, she got on that show, said how difficult it was just to get past the test of it. So you got on the show, right?
I did. It was funny because actually there's multiple steps. First you take this online test, and then they invite you in to see sort of do you have enough personality to appear on the air. And so they asked you two questions. The first question was, what are your hobbies? And the second is, and what would you do with the prize money? And I was right in line behind this other guy, and they asked him, what are your hobbies? And he said, I collect kidney stones. And then they said, right? No, what would you do with the prize money? And he said, I'd get a listerectomy on my 9th kidney stone, which I postponed to come here to audition. So compared to him, I appeared to have a normal amount of personality that would be okay to put on the air. And so my biggest worry was actually that I'd show up and he'd be sitting there with a little jar being like, this is my lucky one. I got my lucky one right here. But
yeah, I think he probably was too quirky for that show. They don't go for over the edge quirky. They want interesting but not too wild, right?
Yeah, exactly. They want somebody who's not going to Saran Alex Trebek after the show's over. Right. You want to...
Well, now, again, and the whole theme of the book is kind of, overcoming, things that make you nervous, or, like you said, awkwardness in it. But you got on the show. Did you enjoy the process, or did it make you feel more uncomfortable?
I had a terrific time. What's funny, the studio itself is, cold, and they do that because of the lights and the TV thing, and they don't want everyone sweating profusely, because that's distinctly unglamorous. But they also do it so that if Trebek tells a joke, then everyone will laugh in order to keep warm, because they can move and sort of warm themselves. But I had a good time. I made what online commenters on the Jeopardy forum described as the worst Final Jeopardy wager of all time, actually, because I was betting on my ability to get it right, instead of sort of noticing that after an initially strong run in the math puns category, I had sort of tapered off, and most other people were tied ahead of me. And if they're tied, you should bet nothing. And instead, I bet actual money, and I just totally blanked on the answer. I put, who is that dude, which technically is correct, but it's not specific, not as specific as they wanted. And so that, like, they panned over all of us. They panned over both of them, and they were sort of smiling and glowing from within, and you could sense that they felt that things were all right in the world. And then they pan to me, and I'm making this hideous face of alarm and shock, like you might make if you, like, stumbled in on your grandparents having adventurous sex or something. I don't know.
Then I guess you get the parting gifts, even if you don't win, right? They still give you parting gifts on game shows?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah. No, they used to have, like, actual physical gifts. They just gave us, like, dollar gifts, but every dollar is a gift, so I was appreciative.
We'll talk a little bit about, and again, it's a funny book, but I guess, like we said, the point of it is, kind of overcoming, things in your life that maybe, just getting confidence and all that. That's kind of the basis of it, right? Just doing things that maybe make you a little uncomfortable, but getting out there and doing it anyway, and you'll get some good experiences, right?
That's completely it. Because worst case scenario, you still wind up with a good story, and maybe you make some new friends, and maybe that Star Wars speed dating that seemed like a foolish idea is how you meet the space alien that you want to spend the rest of your days with.
I did that speed dating. We had somebody on the radio station that hosted it, and they needed a couple extra people. I did it. That's a weird experience.
This is like regular speed dating?
Speed dating, you get the 5-6 minutes with each person. You move from table to table. Is that what you did too?
Yeah, no, I did, but I did it at a Star Wars convention, which is like
Star Wars. I didn't hear that. Oh, okay, that's even weirder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was great because like you did definitely have something to talk to people with. Because I've been regular speed dating too, and half of the problem with that is like figuring out what are you going to say, and if you have the same thing and you're saying it to everyone, then they all sort of blur in, to one another. But at Star Wars, it was easy to tell because it's like, oh no, that guy was dressed as Anakin, and like that person's here as Captain Kirk, and everyone's upset because they're like, this is a Star Wars convention, not a Star Trek convention.
Right.
Like, why are you doing this? And I was dressed as Jabba the Hutt, but although I actually sort of took it off before we got fully into it, which is disappointing to some people. There was a point when I was walking around in a Jabba the Hutt suit, and I took the head off because it sort of gets sweaty and hot in there. And this guy goes, way to ruin the illusion. So, it was...
Well, you've had a very interesting...
other things are so close and so easy to get wrong.
You've had a very interesting career so far. Has all these experiences helped you in your own life? Do you find yourself being kind of an awkward person, or is that getting better?
I think hopefully it won't get too much better, because I think it's like in a certain strange way, it's a skill set that allows you to go into situations and figure out a way out of it. And especially just like sometimes politeness can be your enemy. I've gotten like baptized once into a cult because I was trying to be polite, and it seemed like, well, maybe they'll be more likely to give me a ride home if I let them, call me Sister Gloria and pour water over my head and everything. Maybe this is just like, don't rock the boat. And if you're willing to be a little bit awkward, you could actually sort of get out of a scenario like that. And I think it's a useful skill to have in a strange way.
Yeah. Well, it's a very funny book. Again, it's called A Field Guide to Awkward Silences. We've been talking with Alexandra Petri today. And Alexandra, you have a website. I know people can get a hold of you or get a hold of the book if they like.
Yeah, well, I have a regular blog at the Washington Post called The Compost. You can find it on the Post website. And I'm on the Twitters at Petri Dishes, which is my last name, just the pronunciation, I've given up all hope. But since it is spelled the same way as the dish, I figured that'd be a good handle.
I was going to say Petri, but the publisher said Petri, so I wanted to get it right. But it's spelled the same way.
Petri is right. But but like I have cousins who pronounce it differently. It's always something. But.
Well, Alexandra, congratulations again. Good luck on the book tour, and we'll keep reading you on the Washington Post blog, and hopefully we can talk to you again. If you ever head down to Florida, please let us know as well, but good talking to you today.
Yeah, actually, the last time I was in Tampa, I saw 2001 A Nude Odyssey, and I was blown away by it. So
it's a famous place down in Tampa.
They can rain remotely. That's incredible, yeah.
It's been there for years, and people, when the Super Bowl is here, that's always a big place for people to go visit.
Yes. I just couldn't believe their incorporation of technology just blew my mind.
Yes, it's pretty wild. Thanks, Alex. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.